Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another movie review here on Josh Does Movies. And today we are going on a little bit of a journey with the movie Dog. This movie, directed by both Channing Tatum and Reed Carlin, is a simple told movie where Channing Tatum is playing the character, U.S. Retired or disabled U.S. Army Ranger Jackson Briggs, a made-up character in itself, who has to take one of his old army mates' dogs, who was used in the military, named Lulu, to his former owner's funeral, who unfortunately passed away while on duty. Um, it is a bit of a comedy. It's definitely some drama in there. It doesn't have the biggest cast in the world. Probably a couple. Only person you might recognize is either going to be Jane Addams, or most recognizable person besides Channing Tatum in this cast is going to be former wrestling star Kevin Nash. But it's a simple film. It's not trying, to be a big story, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to kind of go into my thoughts about the movie, things I liked, things I didn't like, my recommendations if somebody's on the fence of watching it, who I think should watch it and where. But without further ado, let's talk about Dog. So, right off the bat, I have to say I appreciate, after going to the last couple movies being either heavy thinking movies like Death on the Nile, or high actiony Uncharted, or colossal failure of Moonfall, that we got a decent little kind of small story movie here. I think Channing Tatum, who hasn't really acted in a big screen movie as the lead in a long time, really came in and gave a very solid performance as this kind of U.S. Army Ranger who's dealing with some type of, the side effects that come from war. Um, I think he's probably, he's really the only main actor in the film, but I really think he makes the most of this performance. I know he partly directed this movie, and in a way, this is kind of him, testing the waters to show people out there that not only that I think he can act well, but that I think he can pull in box office dollars. And I know last weekend it obviously didn't go up against Uncharted very well, but for a movie that's only budgeted at $15 million, it pulled in quite a decent amount for opening weekend at the box office. And I have to say, for second weekend here, I was in one of the bigger theaters in Boise. I know there wasn't really much released besides Studio 666 this week. I had a decent crowd, I would say. So people are watching trailers, and they're definitely wanting to go see this movie in theaters. I think we're all kind of looking for a feel-good story, something that we can kind of, get kind of heartwarming stuff about. In all of these Oscar baiting and high actiony movies and stuff like that. Um, I'll be honest. I am very lukewarm on this movie. I think parts of it were really, really well done. I love the ending of the movie. I think we all knew how it was going to end with the movie the whole way through. So that means the really chunk of this movie is a journey. Like I said before, Channing Tatum's performance in this movie was very well done. Um, I think for what they were having him be, I think he was acting very, very good. Was it like a standout? I think he should be nominated for any type of award performance. No, but I think for the role that he had, I think he showed he does have acting chops and put in the right place. Not only can you see him in obviously your blockbuster style films like your Magic Mikes or your 21 Jump Street style movies, but I would honestly, if I'm somebody who's thinking about maybe making a big artsy film over the next few years, if I see Channing Tatum auditioning out and looking at this film, I think he can play a supporting character style role in an Oscar leading film, and really do some in depth work, and maybe even a leading role if it was the right material. As far as the things I might not have liked, the story was pretty well um, mixed bags for me. I knew where it was going to go and the journey that we had, but I felt the character that Channing Tatum was playing, the U.S. Army Ranger Jackson Briggs, was a little bit just too unlikable for me going through the movie. There's a lot of times in the middle and the beginning of the movie where he's making jokes, and for me personally, this is just a me issue, because they got lots of people in the crowd, but for me, he's just being an asshole, and I don't like to laugh with assholes when they make those type of jokes. The way he treated the dog Lulu, kind of how I was going around every day, every little piece of life, little gags here and there. He was just being a class A dick, and and throughout the movie they didn't really give him much growth until the very end, and I guess part of that is kind of realism, per se, but it makes it tough for me to laugh at jokes of somebody who I'm just not liking as a character. Again, this isn't anything to Channing Tatum. He was acting in the exact way that the writers and directors wrote and had him wanted to direct. But when a character starts the movie making a joke about military police, halfway through somebody confronts him in a pretty nice way about how that they act towards him and how it can make them feel, and instead of showing it with humility in the middle point in the movie where you could have had like him kind of start realizing his faults and how he really treats people, they again play the same joke again, and people laughed at it. And like I said, I'm in the minority here, but I was just like, dude, you're an asshole. Like, you're not funny. I feel bad that you have for this dog with how you treat it, and like, I don't feel sorry for you where you are in life. Like, I know, I have family in the military. I respect people, my Army Rangers. I know they go through a lot, but a lot of the struggles of this guy were not Army struggles. It was ego struggles. And I didn't like that as a character choice. I think near the end, we got kind of more of what the PTSD or side effects of it can all be, and I think that's when it was handled very well. But for the most of this movie, U.S. Army Ranger Jackson Briggs is just a douchebag, and for me, it was very hard to get into the film and really fully enjoy it and immerse myself in that experience when he was so openly a douchebag for the whole entire thing. But besides that, the other part of the story was just that, one of the dog's owner, was one of, Jackson, the U.S. Army Ranger, Channing Tatum's character's old, army mates. And there was little to no remorse or sadness over what had transpired. I was thinking throughout the movie that there may be more connection to that it might have a more personal feeling, but there was really nothing for Ranger Briggs here. For him, it was just getting the dog to the funeral. And clearly they did. I think the movie did a good job showing the dog was affected by stuff, and he did have a connection to his owner. And they did a really good job, I feel like, with the dog and telling the dog's story. I just personally feel like Channing Tatum was just, his character was just a douchebag for most of it, and I don't think that was a very relatable story that I found entertaining. There were parts that I laughed, there were parts that I felt very heartwarming and stuff, but I felt that the movie could have written his character in a way that would have made it a lot better to watch throughout, and I would have enjoyed it more. My recommendations for this, I think anybody can really watch and enjoy this movie. I don't know if it's one I'd suggest going out in theaters. I'm sure it's going to be on streaming sometime soon. And it's something that you can probably pick up on a streaming service and really like. But if you're looking for kind of a feel-good story in a lot of ways, something with light laughs and stuff like that, Dog's going to be a good movie for you. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you don't go in, and I hope I don't turn you off by my personal views. A lot of people in the theater liked it. It got a lot of cheers. I heard people as I'm leaving saying they really enjoyed that movie. It was a very good movie. And I still think it was a decent movie. I don't think it was the best thing in the world, but I also I was not upset that I took the time out to watch this movie, and I found it very much enjoyable. Which takes me to the next step of this review, which is breaking down the 2022 rankings of movies I've seen this year. We have two consistents so far, and that's Belle, the animated movie. It's going to be leaving theaters soon for most places if it's not already out. That's a Japanese animated film, is still number one for me. Number two, I'm keeping Scream up there. Scream's holding out pretty well. I think the more I think about Scream, the more I've gone back and liked the movie. I've even went back and watched it a second time, and I thoroughly enjoyed Scream 5. As somebody who wasn't privy to the Scream universe and the Scream movies, Is it being kind of my first in theater introduction to the series? I have to say, the longer I think about it, the better and more I've enjoyed Scream, and I think it's gonna hold a place here in the top 10. I don't think it'll stay in a top 5 spot for the whole year, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if Scream 5 holds a top 10 spot, because the more I think about it, the more I like that movie. The third spot right now, though, is where Dog lands. I think Dog is better than the other three movies that I've seen this year in terms of having a more enjoyable story. I did have issues with the character writing, but I think Channing Tatum's acting was very well done, and I can't understate the writing they had and the emotional journey they had for Lulu the dog, and where she was at the beginning of the movie to where she was at the end of the movie. I think really made this movie enjoyable and something that I'd recommend for people to watch. So Dogs here at number 3. The other consistent's going to be Moonfall in last place. We're counting down movies until we get Moonfall out, because it shouldn't be in any top 10 list unless it's the top 10 worst movies of 2022, and maybe even just the 2020s altogether. But that leads me into my next little segment, is what's next on the channel. Well, it's the Batman. I am going to a screening Tuesday night to go see it in IMAX. It's going to be an almost 3-hour movie. I am looking so forward to the Batman, and expect Tuesday evening. As soon as I get home from the theater, I'm going to be putting up my own personal review of it, going into what I love about the movie, what things I don't like. I don't know. It could be great. It could be bad. It looks amazing, and I can't wait to talk about it. But for right now, that was kind of all I have. Dog was a good, charming movie. Had its little bit of flaws, told a really good story for the dog and the dog's character in the journey, and Channing Tatum did a really good job acting himself out, and hoping that he gets more and more work from this, because I think he did quite a good job in this movie. Tell me what your thoughts are down below if you've seen Dog. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're excited for more movie reviews, trailer reviews, stuff like that. We got the Batman coming back up. I hope you guys come back in a couple days, or if you're here after the Batman comes out, check out my review of that. Check out my other reviews for things like Belle. You know, you can see how much I hate Moonfall, Uncharted, Scream 5, stuff like that. I have more movie reviews from even like 4 or 5 years ago. I plan on getting more out here this year, so please leave a like. Feel free to subscribe, leave a comment. I want to experience all the movies I can this year and share them with people on the internet and talk if I can. And it's been really enjoyable so far, and I can't wait. We're only 2 months in, so without further ado, I wish you guys a good evening, a good day, a good night, a good morning, wherever you're at. I hope you have an excellent day, and until next time, stay chill.